Hi, welcome back to the Spirit's Path. This is Dee, and today's tarot card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck is the Knight of Bows and the Fox. And when this card came up today, the first thing I thought about was, okay, I'm attracting some things based on yesterday's card, some material, some stability, some security. But if I'm attracting people, some mentorship, some leadership, I need to be really on my game. And what I mean by that is I need to be very alert, curious as to what they have to say, and be very mindful of the message that they're giving me. Okay, and this is, for you as well. Because, this knight, like I like to talk to them about, they're fighter tacticians, right? And he is very symbolic of being cunning, having some alertness, very curious as to what's going on, has a good deal of wisdom and very playfulness. And with the fire action, it's all about creativity, action oriented, having some passion. And the fox is very witty and clever. That's how he was able to get away from the foxhounds all the time, hiding and stuff and things of that nature. And that's how you have to be as a person when you're looking at what's transpired down here in the last 6 days, because we've been talking finances and asset allocation. All right, you have to look at the opportunities that are presenting to you. All right, and you may have to be impulsive about that, but we got a lot of slow energy down here as well. So you may not, when I say impulsive, it's like you got to act now. No, you might have 3 or 4 days to do it, but the other piece of that coin is too, with Mercury being in retrograde, make sure you look at all the details. Okay, make sure you understand, what's going on, right? When you're talking about your finances, because the person that's going to come at you is going to be very dynamic, very flamboyant, right? They're not going to be afraid to take that action. All right, so I don't want you to feel like you're being pressured, but yet they want to show themselves off and be competitive. All right, and if this is you, then make sure that when you're doing that, you're not putting people off. Okay, you want to be that innovative person. You want to be that improviser, right? Take your time when you're going through this process with this Knight of Bows energy, and also don't be impatient. It's going to want to make you be impatient and move forward. But, this is an opportunity to change things in the right direction. And in order to do so, to change it in the right direction, you have to, stay in that energy that we've talked about. That, everything's cyclical. There's life and death within the financial markets. There's ebbs and flows. Things are going good and things are not going good, whether that's through the worldly markets or whether that's in your own bank account because you've overspent, or boom, now everything's starting to go good. I got a raise at work, I'm putting money away, I'm not going to Starbucks, I've quit my streaming, blah blah blah, right? Keep your eyes on that prize is what the archer is telling you. And the horse is carrying you through this whole thing. Okay, where can you push through to the finish? You have to stay disciplined. You have to stay determined in that mark, right? And realize that, once my bank account or my pocketbook, my balance sheet starts going, into the positive, then I'm starting to start feeling better about myself, getting some confidence and some self-esteem, moving forward. And the more you do that and you stay in that energy of working towards your goals, right? Especially financial goals here, but it could be relationship goals, could be career goals, however, whatever those goals are for you. I'm using the analogy for finances because that's what I feel this is about. But you determine how you want to read it. Okay. If things start going too fast, though, okay, one of the questions he asks this Knight of Bows is, where do you need to be slower? Where do you need to, slow things down? Okay. What opportunity are you seizing in this situation is another one of those questions that he asks, as well as what details are you missing? So, where do you need to be slower as things are coming at you quickly? Through those opportunities that are coming at you quickly because you're attracting this stuff, where do you need to, seize that opportunity, right? Versus this one over this one. You might have to do a comparison analysis on what benefits are better, right? Pros and cons. Write it down so you understand it. And then look at all those details, especially with Mercury in retrograde right now. If you can avoid signing something to like mid-August, do so. Because if you're signing something now, those details that you don't pick up are going to come back to bite you, once Mercury goes direct. So this is a time to look within, all right, and say, if I'm looking within on my finances, I'm going to start holding on and have less spending, knowing that I want to work within, and the only way I can get myself out of it is I got to get myself out of it. And I'm talking me, but you know what I'm trying to say. You want to get yourself out of something, you have to make that commitment. Nobody else can make that commitment for you. Nobody else can do that dedication for you. You have to take those steps, okay? So look at those details, within, what somebody's telling you. Don't be spontaneous or impulsive. If you need to take on that, you got two knights down here, so they're both fighting for you. They're both, trying to give you that negotiating skills, to move forward, maybe even with yourself. And this fox is actually pointing towards the future when I have it laying down here with the other cards. His head's pointed toward the future, but he's looking straight at you. Okay. So he's looking you in your eyes, and, he's saying, okay, let's talk about this, right? Let's not be afraid to take that action, but at the same time, let's look at everything. Let's look at the details. Let's understand, where we're going, okay? And is it a good opportunity to seize? I don't know. It could be, right? Let's just put that into the Starbucks thing, okay? If you don't spend the $5, $6, $7 going to Starbucks and you start putting things through, you're going to see your pocketbook get heavier, okay, which in a sense is going to help your self-esteem and confidence. You're going to start attracting more security, more stability, all right? And as a result of that, okay, well, let me invest it in something. Give that opportunity to invest, to make it grow, have that money work for you instead of you work for that money. So maybe you talk to a couple people in investment stuff and say, if I give $100 a month, to this, and they're going to look at you and say, you know what? You have to look the long term. You have to look at the marathon of this. You can't look at the short term. If you do this with compounding interest, blah, 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 this is what's going to happen. There are no guarantees, but, this is what it shows it can do. Okay. But look at that fine print, understand it. Okay. That way, when you go in and look at your asset allocation, you understand exactly what's going on, and you can ask the right relevant questions to whoever is giving you that information, all right, to get more information, to grow, to understand, to gain knowledge, to increase that wisdom as you move forward. So that's today's card of the day out of the Wildwood Tarot deck, that Knight of Bows and Fox. Hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and give me a thumbs up. And this is D for a Spirit's Path. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and stay safe, everybody.